Hey y'all, so here I am, and I am still talking about my story. And the story is getting harder and harder to finish. I didn't expect that part, but honestly, I just want to get it done. So I'm pushing through at this point. I don't know, it's been a very healing journey for me, and that's why I don't want to give up on it. I don't want to quit halfway through like I am and or like I do. So I'm trying to change that about me. So I will continue on, even though this is not easy. And quick disclaimer: it's not a true story. It is a false story, a fiction story based off my true life. And so, with that being said, the things in it are not true. And so, yeah, it's so crazy the world that we live in that we have to treat things like this, but it is what it is. And I'm going to work with the world and the system that I got because honestly, this world and the system will railroad you if you don't. So, okay, it is what it is. Here we go. So, my freshman year of college was really good. I really enjoyed my freshman year. I got a work study. So, I was literally, if I wasn't in class, I was working. I was working. Yeah. And I worked in the computer lab, and my aunt, she worked at the college, and she would grade papers, and she worked right next to the computer lab that I worked at. And so it was really nice in that she would bring me snacks and stuff like that. I did get really hungry my college year. I started passing out a lot because I was working, studying, or going to hot springs on the weekend and partying. And yeah, it got to be a lot, and I couldn't afford food. I could afford a bag of chips out of the vending machine once or twice a week, really, because I mean, yes, I was working, but I would get paid monthly, and a lot of that monthly, it went to my college expenses because I was living in the dorm. And yeah, so, and well, I had a food meal plan, but it was only whenever the cafeteria was open. And so I was getting off work at midnight. And so by that time, no cafeterias were open at all. But a Catholic church, they let me know that I could go to their food pantry. They had a food pantry, and it was a little house. As long as I cleaned up after myself, I could continue to go there. And so I would go there and eat a lot too. But this is after, I'd passed out a couple times. So there was this time in my life in my freshman year of college that I didn't really eat, and I ended up passing out a lot. So yeah, but I did really good my freshman year of college. I made all A's. I was able to secure scholarships for my sophomore year, and everything was looking really good. And like I said, Zach, he had come back into my life, and he was put in prison. And so I started going to see him on the weekends. I would go to see him. I would usually set up a visitation for Friday afternoon or Saturday. And then I would go to Hot Springs. I would tell his mom about, because she didn't really go see him that often. I guess she sent him letters and stuff, and other people probably sent him letters. But yeah, I sent him letters. I sent him drawings, which he would be like, "You're on drugs." But honestly, one time I was. One time I'd gone to see him, and I'd gone to his mom's house, and there was a cousin there with his girlfriend, and I started hanging out with them, and they were doing drugs, and like the hardcore snort up your nose drugs, uppers. They were shooting up, but I just snorted some just to hang out and be like one of them, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I helped them shoot up, and I drew like this big, crazy, intricate drawing and sent it to him, and he was like, "You're on drugs, and you're a druggie," and it's so crazy because everything I did for Zach, he would come back at me with, "You are less," and then I would feel so much more. I've got to prove myself to him, like every single time. It's so crazy, but yeah, and a lot of times after I went and hung out with Zach, went to see him, I would go and hang out with his best friend, Brent. And I remember one time Brent asked me, why do you like come hang out with us? Is it because you think that we're going to tell Zach that you were a good girl? And, you know, that really wasn't it. It was just more of a, I don't know, I'm bored. I came to see his family, and now what's up? Who wants to hang out? You know, like I was very much, remember back then I didn't ever want to be alone. So I'd hang out with whoever was available to hang out, really. That's really what it was. But I just agreed with him. Yeah, I'm trying to be a good girl, I guess. But yeah, another thing that happened was I saw this boy on the college campus one day, this boy that I had a big crush on back in high school. And whenever I told him, he was like, you know, you're about to move away, so no, we can't be together. And what he doesn't know is me moving away was more in my power, because a lot of kids don't have the power that was given to me to choose where I want to live. And at the time, if he would have been my boyfriend, I would have been like, no, I'm not moving in with my mom. But you know, he didn't know that, and I didn't. I don't know. I'm trying to make excuses for my behavior, but basically, this poor innocent boy, I had a crush on him in high school, and he rejected me, and he had valid reasons for rejecting me, but I didn't see that, and it hurt. The rejection hurt. And so whenever I saw him on the courtyard, I ran up to him and I was like, hey, do you remember that? And he was like, yeah. He was like all excited to see me and everything. And I was like, well, I've got a boyfriend now and he's better than you. Bye. And he was just like, and I don't know. I look back on that and I'm just like, why did I do that? You know, like, what was the point of that? But yeah, you know, I remember doing that. You know, I guess I was a little snob. It's true, I was. Also, my freshman year, I was just walking down the pathway in a group of people walking with another group of people walking, and I ran into one of my good friends from high school. And I didn't really mention him because I mean, he wasn't that great of a friend. Maybe I did mention him. I don't know. I'm not keeping up with my story either. I'm not rewatching it all. But anyway, um so I run into Rory, and he is like, you know, I knew him back in sixth, seventh grade, and he would call me because he rode my bus, and he would call me, and we would talk, and we would talk about, you know, because I was an intellectual, and we would talk about schoolwork, and I would talk about how you're not in any of the AE classes, which is the advanced classes. And he said, yeah, I know, for some reason the school won't let me in. They have a bias against me, but I am smart and I can prove it to you. And so, yeah, he was able to prove it to you, because you can prove it by, you know, being smart, proving your point. So, yeah, and we ended up being really good friends, and then he ended up dating one of my good friends, and they were like really close for the longest time. And she ended up breaking his heart. You know, I moved away, so I ran into him, and it was like a shock. I don't know. I can't describe it, because for me, there's no sexual chemistry between him and I. But running into him, it was like so crazy, because it's like you're in a stream of people just going to your next location. There's a stream of people also just right beside you, you know, and it's just how it is every day. And then there's like a shock, and it stops you. And so, yeah, I stopped, and it was just like, okay, we've got to like exchange information. And yeah, we started hanging out, and we hung out all freshman year, and it was really a blast. And, you know, he confessed to me that, well, he had a girlfriend who really had broken his heart, and she did him wrong and did him dirty, and he was experimenting with being gay, and he had a boyfriend. And yeah, it was really cool. He was like my gay best friend. It was like me and my gay best friend my freshman year of college, and we hung out all the time after that. We were always hanging out, and he would hang out with me in the computer lab, and then we would go to the Catholic place in the afternoons, and we would cook, and we would clean up, and we would watch TV, sit there and eat and watch TV, and then go back to our dorms. And it was really cool. And we began to experiment with drugs. and psychedelics because he had a friend who was a chemistry major. And this chemistry major he was in his junior year, and he had, other access to the lab, and they were making pure DMT, and they were making all kinds of stuff. And Rory and I were like, we will be your happy little test subjects. And oh my gosh, we did all kinds of psychedelics. It was really cool. I remember one time we were just sitting in this like alleyway between two buildings, just sitting there looking at this building, and it's just like a brick wall, but it's bubbling and it's swirling, and it's just like so interesting. The coolest brick wall ever. And oh my gosh, I remember one time we were at the computer lab, and we it was about time to close down, so I was going to go ahead and take my little tab, and then it would kick in right as we were leaving. It would be cool, right? Well, no, it kicked in pretty much right away, and like the lab was bubbling up, and I had to like shut down all the computers because that's part of closing it down while it's all acting crazy. And that was really a lot of fun, actually. Um, and then there was this other time that we were smoking salvia because, we were getting our hands on any kind of drugs that we could get our hands on. We were smoking the salvia and just sitting in the courtyard and like under a bench. We were so weird, y'all. So weird. But anyway, we're sitting like, well, actually, it wasn't under a bench. It was like under this little awning thing. And I mean, like, you're not supposed to sit there. And we were sitting there smoking our salvia because we were trying to hide, And then all of a sudden, sorority members started walking by because they were having like this big sorority meeting. And I was just like, I hate sorority members. And he was like, me too, because, we hate the rich. And back then. And yeah, we started hissing at them. We were just like, hissing at them. Oh my gosh, so crazy. And yeah, it was really crazy mess. And there was one time whenever I was just bored in my dorm room and I didn't know what to do, and I ended up calling Robert, my dad's drug dealer, and he was like, do you want me to come pick you up? And I was like, yeah. And so he came and picked me up at the dorm and took me to his house, which was way out in the middle of nowhere. So much land. And he introduced me to his roommate, Larry. And they had big bowls full of roaches. If you know what a roach is, full of ends of joints that had been smoked. Just bowls full. And I would be like, can I take some? I'd always ask, and they would always be like, yes, you can have some. And it was, I don't know, they would always smoke with me, and I'd hang out. They had all kinds of animals. They had, well, birds. They had chickens and turkeys, and they had bunny rabbits, and lots of land. And it was an interesting experience being there, and they offered me a job to sell to college students. And I took the job. And so thus begins the crazy days. But yeah, there's more that I got to say on this subject, and I will tell you more in the next episode. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you're enjoying this wonderful fictionalized true story. And again, thank you guys so much. And as always, be blessed with love. That's all she got.